India takes pride in unity, in diversity, and you will witness a new language and a new culture. With that being said, after realizing that even after giving shelter, rights and privileges to Muslims in our nation, they were taking undue advantage of it and creating a ruckus in the entire country. Namaste. I am Suruchi Das and you're watching Ritam Demystifies. In this episode, we will talk about how Europe is being swept away by Islamization and its domination. Forced conversions, rapes, and streets being flooded with people reading namaz caused road blockages, which started happening on a daily basis. Certain steps were taken to restore peace in the country. However, when we Indians were trying to protect our nation, other Western nations jumped up and condemned us for being Islamophobic. In fact, the recent Football World Cup that was hosted by Qatar gave us an idea of where Islam stands at the moment. It was no less than a mistake to allow such a country that sponsors and encourages Muslim fundamentalism all over the world to host football. Well, it used football to achieve its aims further. The Qatarist crowd that was witnessing the match was seen booing at the white teams and cheering madly for Muslim players. Also, the match between Morocco and France showed the radicalization of Islam. The Moroccan players were very brutal with the French team and also attempted to hurt them. On the other hand, when French players mistakenly touched the Moroccan players, they would scream as if they have been mortally wounded. Now the situation has reversed and Europeans are getting the taste of their own medicine as they had opened their doors to Muslim immigrants. And now they are the ones who are causing trouble for them. Owing to the dramatic rise of radical Islam and jihadist notoriety in European nations, innocent civilians being brutally murdered on the streets, women being abducted and pushed into jails, gang rapes and assaults are usual occurrences for the past few years. Of late, it has been reported by Pew Research that 28 countries in Europe have a Muslim population of about 25 million. In recent years, Europe has witnessed a record influx of asylum seekers from Syria and other Muslim-dominated countries. And this has led to questions being raised about the growing domination of Muslim population in the continent, as well as the rise in unrest among Europeans against the Muslims. Certain countries in Europe like Germany and Sweden have restricted Muslim immigrants from coming into their countries. However, it has been researched that even if migration permanently stops with immediate effect, the Muslim population in the continent will rise from current 4.9% to 7.4% by the year 2050. This is because the population of Muslims in the continent is younger and has higher fertility rates. Secondly, the Muslim population could reach 11.2% by 2050 as Muslims will keep coming to Europe for reasons other than seeking asylum. Hence, in the case of high migration scenario, the population of Muslims will become 30.6% in Sweden, 18% in France, and 19.7% in Germany. And this will enable a massive cultural shift in these countries. The situation in England has also worsened as the Christian population has dropped from 59% to 46%. The situation has deteriorated to such an extent that former Archbishop of Canterbury, Lord Carey, stated that Christianity is on the verge of extinction. There are more than 5 million Muslims in England, and their expansion has led to the building of domes and minarets. It is predicted that soon Muslims will mushroom across the whole land. Leicester, known for its vivid multiculturalist atmosphere, is home to 55 mosques, 18 temples and 9 gurudwaras, 1 Jain temple and 2 Buddhist centers. Even though Leicester is a European country, white people are in minority and Muslims are in majority. In fact, Islamization has also replaced Christianity as the dominant religion. last year saw a sudden burst of violence in the region after Pakistan lost to India in a cricket match, and the Indians residing in Leicester were subjected to knife attacks, stones and bottles. In addition, Indian religious institutions also came under siege. Initially, the French people colonized North African nations like Morocco, Tunisia and Algeria. They not only exploited them but also took away their independence. They employed Arabs as laborers, coolies, mason helpers, trash pickers and other filthy jobs that the French refused to do going forward. And today, these Muslim people's children and grandchildren are the youth in France, and the total population of Muslims stands at around 24%. Recently, an Italian mother wore a shocking t-shirt that showed her 18-year-old daughter's dismembered body as a Muslim migrant killed her daughter and chopped her body into pieces. The 2020 incident when an 18-year-old Muslim extremist beheaded high school teacher Samuel Paty on the streets of France, the most secular nation in the world, for showing caricatures of Muhammad in school, sent shocks to all Europeans. Another incident that is worth mentioning is the 2015 Paris attack. In order to intimidate the people of Paris, Muslims carried out several assaults. Shootings and bombings also took place that killed about 130 innocent lives and left several others injured. In 2006, worldwide protests took place over cartoons of the Prophet of Islam published in a Danish newspaper, and these protests led to 200 people being killed. When this cartoon was reprinted in 2015 by a French satirical magazine, Charlie Hebdo, its office was attacked by 2 gunmen who killed around 12 people. Belgium, a country that also once colonized Africa, today witnesses a massive Muslim population. That is one of the most radical and dangerous in the EU. This can be proved by 2015's murderous Brussels airport bombing, which was a master plan of the Belgian Muslims. Germany also witnesses periodical traumas as large number of Turkish population resides in the country. For instance, recently 2 people were killed and 5 got injured in Germany after a Muslim male, a refugee from Syria, executed the incident. Also, thousands of German parents took to streets after local officials decided to house 400 male Muslim migrants as the incidents of rape and murders by Muslim migrants were on the rise. On New Year's Eve of 2015, 200 women were assaulted and even raped by Muslims. Ireland is not also alien to crimes committed by Muslims in their countries. In a recent case, the police are investigating Muslim jihadi suspects for the rape of an Irish woman. The woman was attacked while she was on her way home. Also, police officials reported that they have witnessed a significant rise in sexual violence and rape against Irish women. Polish citizens have refused European Union's request to allow Muslim asylum seekers, and protests are also taking place to not let this happen. Also, a few years back, a Polish magazine published a cover photo that showed a white woman being raped by who are believed to be Muslims, along with the title, "The Islamic Rape of Europe." The Baltic nations such as Sweden and Norway initially slept through when Muslims were immigrating into their countries. However, their presence was felt soon after rapes, attacks and demonstrations by the Muslims became a daily episode. Also, it is essential to mention that in Europe, Uber taxis have Muslim drivers, and thus they are able to create a network of communication and transport in the continent that can trigger riots and also bring together demonstrators to a spot in a matter of minutes. In the beginning, when the Muslim population in Europe was on a constant rise, they didn't take enough steps. But today, there is increasing fear and opposition in the minds and hearts of Europeans against Muslim population. The Muslim section is being funded by certain Middle East countries, and they are helping them to expand their network and terrorism across every European country possible. The statement, "Islam is the fastest growing religion in Europe," swept many headlines in 2017 and also raised questions about Europe's integration and immigration policy. Surging cultural conflicts and social and political upheaval, Islamization in Europe has become a hot topic.
When Muslims migrate to Europe, they possess peaceful intentions. However, as population rises, tensions between Europeans and Muslims swell up. In the last 2 decades, Islamic terrorism has resulted in the devastation of tens of thousands of Europeans, even though while migrating, they promise wholeheartedly to be peaceful and live a better life.
However, as peaceful as they pretend to be, Islamic extremism is a legitimate concern in Europe, and as much the Muslim population increases, so does terrorism. A German government report that came out in 2021 showed that nearly 700 people were classified as potential perpetrators of terrorism, and most of them are Muslims. It is also a fact that when young Muslim men enter Europe, that too illegally, have caused a rise in sexual assaults and harassment of women. Also, earlier Europeans blamed India for being harsh on certain religions. However, now that the ball is in their court and they are dealing with a lot of incidences of rape, sex attacks, molestations and kidnapping, what do they have to say now? It is time for European nations to realize that Muslims all around the world put Islam before their nationality and have no faithfulness or gratefulness towards the country that has adopted them. They don't care about which country provides them shelter and food. Hence, the continent needs to stop spoon-feeding the so-called innocent and illegal immigrants and take steps to secure their continents and the lives of natives, or be ready to continue sitting and see them mushrooming and also maybe witness forceful conversions.